Welcome back. You're watching Startup Central with me, Nayantara Rai, working from home. This is the only show of its kind in Indian television dedicated, of course, to startups, innovation, technology, disruption, entrepreneurship. This January, we've seen so many announcements. We just, 20 days into the new year, we already have one new unicorn. We've seen the Prime Minister announce a new seed fund of 1,000 crore rupees. We've seen announcements coming in from Bloom. We've seen plenty of announcements around fundraise. And here's the newest one. Fireside Ventures has come out with a new fund. To talk more about the new fund is Kanwaljit Singh, the managing partner. Thanks so much for joining us here on ET Now. The new fund, the corpus, worth 863 crore rupees. Tell us a bit more about it. What will be the priority areas? Fireside, of course, in the past has looked at companies which are, in the consumer space. A lot of them now are trending because they've also made big waves in becoming D2 direct-to-consumer brands.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. So we're just announcing the close of our second fund. We had started raising this fund sometime in 2019 and saw some very interesting interest both from domestic investors, including large families, individuals, and of course some of the large corporates. But more importantly, we also saw interest from international investors. And we're very pleased to welcome several large global investors into the fund. And the whole idea of this fund was predicated on the success of our first fund, which we saw investing in some very exciting brands like Boat, Mamaearth, Yoga Bar, etc. So very pleased to announce the close of our fund. The total corpus we have raised now is 863 crores. And some of the investors who have come in as marquee investors include the Fund of Funds scheme by the Startup India Action Plan, as well as investors like Pidilite, L'Oreal Corporation, Nippon Life, Digital Innovation, AIF, Investment Corporation of Dubai, ITC Limited. So we are quite excited about the possibilities right now.
You just named a few of the companies that I was going to talk about, and it's in your press release how ITC, HDFC Bank, Pidilite, they've all participated. You're talking about Doyens of India Inc., Captains of India Inc., large listed companies that have participated and become LPs, etc., for your newest fund. The question I also want to ask you is that, are you seeing a change in attitude when it comes to listed companies? And you've got the best of the best investing in this fund for you. When it comes to the startup universe, allocations for the new economy, allocations for consumer growth companies, allocations for startup companies, and which is why they're doing this via funds like yours. Is there a big change in attitude that you're seeing, in mindset rather?
Yeah, so absolutely. So ITC has been an investor in the past fund as well, but some of the other names you mentioned have come in for the first time. And absolutely, delighted to welcome them, because that also is a recognition for the asset class of venture capital, the role we play in helping the startup ecosystem, and also, of course, the value we can bring to the startup companies that we invest in. So the growing recognition for the venture capital and private equity industry among the corporates is a very welcome sign for all of us.
So, the Prime Minister, for example, over the weekend spoke about boosting domestic capital. He's also announced 1,000 crore rupees seed fund. To put it in perspective, you've got Sequoia's Search Fund, right, which is about 1,500 crore rupees. You're yourself coming out with a fund of 863 crore rupees. But so far, what we have seen in the Indian ecosystem is growth being driven, the capital being provided by foreign investors. Are you seeing a change in that? You are seeing a change in mindset, but do you think it is actually possible for domestic capital to drive Indian startups?
I think directionally we are starting to see a lot of interest in that, and both our first fund and the second fund was anchored by some of the large domestic investors. So, people like Premji Invest, the Mariwala family office, Sunil Munjal's family office. So we have always been, very, grateful to the Indian large families and corporates who have believed in our thesis, who have believed in the opportunity for consumer brands. And as we said, the increase of interest across a very large number of investors in the domestic segment is extremely heartening.
What's going to be the newest fund's USP? You've always backed consumer companies. Is that it?
So we have always focused on a very specific opportunity, what we call the digital brands, the consumer brand opportunity. And what we saw in just the last 3.5 years, some very exciting numbers in terms of our first fund portfolio. So in a way, having seen success over the last 3-4 years with the previous fund, we are doubling down on the same strategy. And we believe that right now, the opportunity to build digital first, millennial focused consumer brands, especially using the digital infrastructure, are actually, it's going to be the next several years, if not decades, is going to be very exciting for this category. So we are very unique in the fact that we only focus on this space. And now that we are starting to see some of the successes like Boat and Mamaearth and Kapiva and Yogavar, etc., I think more and more interest is getting generated in the space. So we hope that we can work with the ecosystem and continue to build great brands out of India. And like you said, I think today large corporates, families, government, everybody has started believing in this. The voice of the local brands, the fact that Indian brands can stand up on their own, not only in India as a market, but even become global players. And that's the vision we are all trying to achieve here.
So will it be primarily direct to consumer still, and the because a lot of your brands have started doing that, right? Whether it's a Mamaearth or whether it's Sarva, which is into yoga, or even if it's something like Badam tea, etc. Boat, they're all doing it, right? So is that also going to be the strategy for the new fund?
Yes. So we are very focused on direct to consumer and digital brands as our area of sharp focus. We look at pretty much across the sector. So from food and beverages, personal care, beauty, lifestyle, fashion, home products, etc. Obviously, one sensibility that has come in is, especially with the whole COVID experience, which was quite extraordinary and almost surreal, that there is a lot more focus on wellness, a lot more focus on more natural, less preservative. So we are also seeing a lot of opportunities emerging in catering to those kind of consumer requirements. Our strategy does not change. We come in very early. Our whole focus is that using our own team's capability as well as the platform we have built of working with partners like Amazon, Flipkart, BigBasket, Facebook, YouTube, etc. We want to help our companies, establish their basic building blocks of success, and then we continue to support them with more capital and more value through all these aspects. So the strategy remains the same. We are just doubling down because now we have a fund which is large enough to invest between 30 to 40 crores in these companies across multiple stages and help them to achieve the kind of success that they are able to manage today.
Okay. Now, just going by your previous investments, for example, you've seen resounding success, right? Whether it's a Boat, which has become the world's 5th largest in the space that it is in. You've of course got Sarva, you've got Badam tea, which Oprah Winfrey has also been gifted one Christmas season, all of that. What about the new success stories at Fireside Ventures?
So we have invested in 18 companies in the first fund. The first fund was a 340 crore fund. And as we saw, the opportunity emerged across entire spectrum of the consumption for consumers in India. Like you mentioned, Boat is obviously, been a very successful company in the portfolio. But if I can segregate some of the companies in different buckets, we have about 5 or 6 companies in what we call the food and beverage space. So companies like Vadam Tea, which is selling Indian teas to global markets, really exciting opportunity to showcase the best of India to global consumers. We have Kapiva, which is into Ayurvedic products for everyday consumption, and they are again seeing a strong tailwind in the business because of the sensibility of consumers wanting to get products which are more good for you. We have a company called Tasty Tales, which is focused on ready-to-cook pastes and curries, so that you can create very authentic products and so on. So those are some of the companies. We have Samosa Singh, etc. Then we have in the personal care space, we have companies like Mama Earth, which is targeting the baby and the mom with personal care and beauty products. We have the Ayurveda Experience, which is taking Ayurvedic personal care and beauty products again to global consumers. And they have built a very successful business of selling through their own website in US, Europe, a lot of international markets. So again, personal care is an area of big focus for us. And then, like I mentioned, we have in the lifestyle space, we have companies like Boat. We have in the home space a company like Design Cafe, which provides home interior solutions. We have companies like Azani, which are in athleisure. We have Pipa Bella, which is into accessories and jewelry. So it's been a very exciting, covering every consumption point of a typical millennial consumer in their daily lives. Now, what we have seen is that in the last 1 year or so, since we started investing from the second fund, once again, we have done 4 investments. And there is a very interesting common thread that we are starting to see in these companies in the space of wellness, in the space of doing good, not only for the consumer, but for a larger overall community at large. So companies like Gynoveda, which is solving women's menstrual health problems through Ayurvedic products. Companies like Slurp Farm, which is targeting babies and kids snacking, but with a very healthy and mostly millet and ragi-based snacking products. We have Sarva Yoga, which is a platform for proliferating the use of yoga, both physical fitness as well as mental calm and headspace type of services in the meditation and sleep areas. And we have in the fashion space, Fable Street, which caters to women's workwear. And they have seen some very interesting opportunity to offer ranges like work from home, a range of fashion for women, which has really done well actually in the last few months. So it's been a very, very interesting journey over the last 4 years, and we think it's just the beginning.
This will be my final question to you. So you found these success stories, these companies which are clearly in the high growth stage at the moment. But what I want to ask you, Kanwaljit, and this is what those founders and startups tuning in will want to know: how do you shortlist startups? I believe for your last fund you invested 4, but you received interest from 1,500 startups. What goes behind the scenes?
Absolutely. So, what has been very, very encouraging for all of us is that, in spite of, a very tough year over the last 9 or 12 months, the entrepreneurial activity has always been strong, and it's picked up very sharply in the last several months. On an average, we are seeing about 100 companies coming to us, which are in our space of focus. So first of all, it's really about being able to get that kind of portfolio of companies to review. I think that is really exciting for us. Then what we do is, our process is very elaborate. We have a team now of 11 professionals in Fireside. And we work both on sectoral themes, on identifying what are those spaces where we see new opportunities coming, And then as we diligence different companies, we talk to industry experts to identify what are those white spaces where some of these companies can be successful. And eventually you end up doing, maybe 1 in 100 type of an investment. But the process does require almost 3 to 6 months of a very deep, intensive deep dive before we can take a call of investing. So therefore, to do these 15, 20 investments in the next 2 to 3 years, I think we will probably sift through hundreds, if not thousands of proposals that come to us.
Okay, so that's how it goes. All the very best for your new fund. The last one, you of course found winners like we were just discussing, and that's what goes into finding those winners. A sneak peek from the managing partner at Fireside Ventures. We'll slip into a short commercial break. Coming up on the other side, you've got a raging pandemic, the vaccination program has begun, and traffic is back to pre-COVID levels. What am I talking about? You'll know after this break.